Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Irena Paramita Pramono. For the next 10 minutes, I will try to explain. I will to presentate my paper about intellectual capital and micro, small, medium enterprises resilience during the pandemic COVID-19. Well, there are three authors in this paper. The first author is me, Irena Paramita Pramono. I'm from Economic and Business Faculty, Universitas Islam Bandung. There's also Dr. Nunung Nurhayati from Economic and Business Faculty, Universitas Islam Bandung. And we also has Dr. Roziana binti Jafri from University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, we will try to discuss about the topic about intellectual capital and micro, small, medium enterprises during the pandemic. First, we will presentate about the introduction, literature review, research methodology, and result in discussion. For the introduction, well, there are many previous studies examine the influence of intellectual capital on firm performance. Most of the time, intellectual capital has been shown to have a positive effect on entities' performance. In small medium enterprises cases, there are also notable research about this topic. In micro, small, medium enterprises cases, ISO also showed a positive impact on micro, small, medium enterprises. However, during the 2 years pandemic COVID-19, it is a different year from the ordinary years. There are massive changes in people economics activities. Therefore, we note that it is important to understand how this phenomena could be different from the previous years. In 2016, there are research by Kehelwat-Latena that found that the effect of IC on that entity's performance is inconsistent during financial crisis. In this study, human capital failed to create value for the entity during the financial crisis. And then in 2022, there's also a research about IC or intellectual capital effect on the firm performance during the crisis. In 2022, research conducted by Papikova and Papik, and it showed a different result. Companies with higher intellectual capital had higher profitability values during the pandemic COVID. So it is interesting because there are two different results about how intellectual capital affect the micro, small, medium enterprises during the pandemic. So why I choose micro, small, medium enterprises? Why we choose micro, small, medium enterprises as research object? First, because micro, small, medium enterprises is undeniably important for Indonesian economic. The amount of business itself is in Indonesia is 64.2 million businesses. It is 99% of the total businesses in Indonesia. And then the GDP itself, the contribution to gross domestic product is 61.07%. It's quite big. And the workforce, micro, small, medium enterprises able to absorbing 97% of the total workforce in Indonesia. It's according data from Kemenkop UKM in 2019. During the pandemic, micro, small, medium face a lot of problems. It's including the decrease of income, because the physical distancing policy has decreased the income of 94% of micro, small, medium enterprises. Another problem faced is there are 62% of micro, small, medium enterprises experience problems related to employees and operation. Well, we can't deny the fact that micro, small, medium enterprises resilience is an important factor for economic recovery in Asia. While most of the research studies on IC effect on small, medium enterprises performance in normal circumstances, it is important to know the effect of my intellectual capital on the resilience of micro, small, medium enterprises during the pandemic. Therefore, this study was conducted. So what is micro, small, medium enterprises? In Indonesia, micro, small, medium enterprises could be classified by its business capital and annual sales result. This is regulated by Government Regulation of Republic of Indonesia number 7 of 2021. And then if we refer to that government regulation, then micro enterprises would have maximum 1 billion rupiahs of business capital, and the maximum is 2 billion rupiahs of annual sales. Meanwhile, small enterprises have a business capital between 1 billion rupiahs and 5 billion rupiahs. And it's also has at least 2 billion rupiahs to a maximum 15 billion rupiahs of annual sales. And then there's also medium enterprises. Well, medium enterprises should have a business capital between 5 billion rupiahs to 10 billion rupiahs. And it also the annual sales should be between 15 billion rupees to a maximum 15 billion rupees. So another thing that we will discuss is about firm resilience. Resilience definition refers to the reaction to unexpected or unforeseen changes and disruptions, and it is defined as the ability to adapt and respond to such disruption, according to Errol, 2010. Corporate resilience could be defined as the company ability to recover from the shock, adapt, and change in response to disturbances. It's concluded by Rondi in 2017. According to SIA, firm resilience measurement could be addressed in two ways. One way is by measuring the firm performance, for example, financial performance, volatility, or growth. Another approach is by investigating the company response to environmental shocks. Another research considered the level of recovery as an important factor in assessing resilience. Therefore, in this study, firm performance was measured by the level of sales and profit. Meanwhile, the company response to environmental shocks was measured by the effort exerted by the company to retain employees during the pandemic. So, what is intellectual capital? Well, it's believed that intellectual capital was discussed for the first time by a group of managers in a book, and then that discussion recorded in a book entitled Invisible Balance Sheet by Swaby in 1990. And then IC, according to Bontes and Sullivan, IC is intellectual matters including knowledge, information, intellectual property, experience, or anything that can be put to use to create wealth. Well, according to OECD, or Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, intellectual capital is the economic value of two categories of intangible assets of a company, which are organization capital and human capital. according to Miller in 1999. There are three categories of IC, which are human capital, structural capital, and relational capital, according to Mountains in 2006, and Rose also conclude the same thing. How about IC valuation? IC valuation in the development. There are two ways of evaluation that could be to evaluate IC or intellectual capital. First is by using financial valuation, and the second one is non-financial valuation. There are three categories of intellectual capital. First is intellectual capital, or first is structural or organizational capital, which are including organizational process, procedures, technologies, information resources, and intellectual property rights, according to Google 2015. Non-human property or organizational talents are used to meet market demand, according to Bontis in 2000. Meanwhile, relational capital describes the relationship between internal and external stakeholders, the knowledge contained in organizational relationships that support a firm activities, according to Bontis 2000. And there's also human capital, refers to the knowledge possessed by each employee. It includes competence, attitude, and intelligent ability of the human who is engaged in the business, according to Rose 2017. The research object in this study is micro, small, medium enterprises. And since the business scale of MSME, it is a challenge to present IC indicator using monetary valuation due to the absence of complete financial statement. Therefore, in this research, we evaluate intellectual capital by using non-monetary valuation. Human capital is included the capability of employees to voice their opinion, succession training programs, cooperative capability in teams, and how the employee could come up with new ideas for the firms. For structural capital, it's include clear system availability that support the development of ideas for the company and the clarity of employee salary increase procedures. And there's also relational capital, which consists of market share improvement and consumer satisfaction. And based on the previous studies, there are three hypotheses that we develop. The first is human capital significantly positive affect micro, small, medium enterprise resilience. And then structural capital significantly positive affect SME resilience. And then relational capital significantly have a positive effect micro, small, medium enterprises resilience. For the research methodology, for the sampling site, we use Bandung City, since Bandung is a multicultural city famous for the wide variety of micro, small, medium enterprise types of business. And then the data itself is using cross-section data. And the sampling, the data were collected by distributing questionnaires to 174 micro, small, medium enterprises in Bandung using the random sampling technique. For indicators, the variable indicators using the ordinal scale with 5-point scale, which describe how strongly respondent felt about a set of statements ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree. This is the variable indicators. Human capital is including employees' freedom to speak, Regular training provided, the adaptability of the workers. Structural capital is including a clear organizational structure, procedure that support the development of ideas for the company, and then relational capital is including increase of the market share, customer satisfaction, and then micro, small, medium enterprises, followed by profit rate stability, sales rate stability, and retaining employees during the pandemic. The result for this research, micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency is 0.484 human capital plus 0.180 structural capital plus 0.223 relational capital plus error. So in here, the error square is 0.505. It means that more than 50.5% of human capital, structural capital, and relational capital have a effect 50%, 0.5% to micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency. Meanwhile, from the p-value, we can conclude that human capital indeed positively significant for micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency. And then there is also relational capital. It's also positively significant for micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency. And there's also structural capital, which show that it doesn't affect it, or this variable is insignificant to micro, small, medium enterprises. From this research, we can conclude that human capital and relational capital positively affect micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency during the pandemic. Meanwhile, structural capital empirically does not affect micro, small, medium enterprises resiliency. This research result provide recommendation that the most appropriate form of support for micro, small, medium enterprises in time of crisis is to provide education and knowledge sharing, which can expand the skills and the knowledge of micro, small, medium enterprises business people. And in addition, it is also important to support micro, small, medium enterprises for developing their relationship with various parties to maintain their business during the pandemic. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.